Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Dear students, today I am going to talk about the chapter that is relief features of the continents, chapter number 19. So let's start with it. First we are having the word called relief features. So we have to understand what do you mean by the term relief features. Relief features refers to the various kinds of landforms that are present on the surface of the earth. As we know that the surface of the land is covered with both land and water. And all the relief features that are present on the surface of the earth has various kinds of names given to it. Likewise, for example, the largest landform on the surface of the earth are the continents and the oceans. Now, as you know, in the earlier classes we have discussed that what are continents. Continents are the largest landmass on the surface of the earth. Now, coming to it, we will see one by one what are the relief features that are present on the continents. Now, talking about the relief features, one very distinguishing point to be mentioned here is that all the relief features that are present on the surface of the earth is not the same. They are not equal in its own feature. And the reason behind it is because of that the land or the lithosphere on the earth's surface is not symmetrical, that is not equal. The land has been divided into series of plates, that is the lithospheric plates has been divided into various kinds of plates, and these plates are arranged in a very kind of jigsaw puzzle. So we know that all the relief features that are present on the continents are not equal. So coming back to the relief features, the important relief features that we find on the surface of the earth are the mountains, the plateaus and the plains we are having. Now we will talk about all these one by one. Now before that we have to know that what is the reason behind that gives rise to the various kinds of landforms. We have to remember that there are two important kinds of reasons behind it, the two forces that are acting behind it. Those are the endogenetic forces and the exogenetic forces. Endogenetic forces are the various kinds of, they are the internal forces, for example, the volcanic eruptions and the earthquakes. And the exogenetic forces are the external forces like the actions of the wind, the glaciers, the ice, etc. So, coming back to the mountains, first mountain, what are mountains? The first question is what are mountains? So, we have to say that mountains are the most distinguishable feature on the earth's surface. Why it is so? Because of its steep slopes and high peaks. So, it is very visible to everybody, the structures of the mountains. These mountains are of three types. Mainly, they are the fold mountains, the block mountains and the volcanic mountains. Now, what are the fold mountains? So, the extreme word, that is the fold, refers to the up and down structure of the mountains. How these are caused? When the layers of the rocks are pushed from both the sides, it elevates the layers of the rock upward by the help of the fold, resulting in the fold mountains. So, the upfold are known as the anticlines and the downfolds are known as the synclines. Examples, if we talk about the fold mountains, here again we will have two kinds of fold mountains. They are the young fold mountains and the old fold mountains. Young fold mountains are those mountains which have formed in the very recent origin. For example, we can say within the year of around 400 million years. And the old fold mountains are mountains which have formed earlier within the 200 to 300 years ago. Example of young fold mountains are the Himalayas, and the mountains which are of old fold mountains are the Aravalis, the eastern and the western Ghats in the Himalayas. Then coming back to the block mountains, these block mountains are formed when the huge blocks of rocks, they are lifted upward or downward. The uplifted rock or the block of rocks are known as the host, and the downward or the inclined rock materials which are caused because of the various kinds of faults and fissures that are caused due to on the earth's surface. Now, the examples of the block mountains are, you can say, as the Vindhyas and the Satpuras in India. Coming back to the volcanic mountains, as we know that the volcanic mountains are caused, or they are created, or they are formed because of the various kinds of materials or the magmas or the lavas that erupts from the deep inside the earth's surface, and they erupt from the deep interiors of the earth, and they come out and settles on the earth's surface with due course of time. So when the lavas and the magmas cool down, they form various kinds of structures on the surface of the earth, so giving rise to the various kinds of volcanic mountains. Examples of volcanic mountains are, we can say, the famous mountains of Mount Fujiyama in Japan, then we are having Mount Etna in Sicily. Then coming back next to the second relief features, those are the plateaus. Now what are plateaus? Plateaus are the elevated land which are tablelands, and they are flat top in its structures. They are much more higher raised areas apart from the surrounding areas. So when we look on the surrounding areas, we can identify that because of its distinct structure. This tableland flat top structures, these plateaus are at times they are formed because of the volcanic eruptions, or we can also say that they are formed because of the soil erosion, wind and air. And examples are given here, as we are having the Tibetan Plateau and the Colorado Plateau. Coming next to the plains, yes, this is one of the most important, I could say, that the relief features which falls under the topography of India, as because these plains areas are the extremely low-lying areas which are extremely fit for the human habitation. Now the question you might think is, what is the reason? It is, we know that these plain areas are formed by the flow of the rivers. We know that when the rivers flow from the from the mountain ranges, and by the time it reaches the mouth of the river, it diversifies itself into various kinds of tributaries and distributaries. So this rivers, along with the tributaries, carries various kinds of minerals in the form of sand, silt and rocks. All this together are known as the alluvium, and the soil is known as the alluvial soil. So plain areas are mainly having this alluvial soil, which makes the soil extremely fertile for human habitation. Examples we are having in the northern part of India, the Indo-Gangetic plains in India and the Brahmaputra plains. So these are the extremely, the fertile lands which provide much amenities to the people. How it is? For example, fertile agricultural land, suitable for living conditions, and these are densely populated. So when we give an overall picture of all the relief features of the continents, we see that every feature is having its own importance on its base. But when we talk about the plains, we see that it is much more connected with the human habitation, because the human beings are more densely populated in the plain areas, where we are day-to-day connected with the resources that are present in the plain areas. So by this end, I come to the end of the chapter.